Let's read Cicero's Pro Caelio, chapter 76. First of all, what happened in chapter 75? We had two images of Caelius as a chariot that's trying to round a chariot racer trying to round the corner and slightly getting it wrong. Also, his inexperience with pleasures is kind of like bottling up a fizzy liquid that's going to pour out all at once. And this is all part of him summing up how you should feel about Caelius in the Peroratio in chapters 70 to 80. We skipped a bit before then. Now let's go into chapter 76. Art quod ist interpositus sermo deliciarum desidiaeque moreretur. He's picking up on the pleasures that are that have gone out a bit. And so that iste is a like that one over there, kind of dismissive that rumor, that talk, and then interpositus is describing the talk, the rumor, that intervening rumor or talk of pleasures and of idleness, moreretur, may die. So that all that that chatter of idleness and pleasures may die, fake it. He did it. Now let's see, what did he do? He's going to take a while to explain what did Caelius do. Me in vitro is ablative absolute with me being unwilling. He did it. Mehercule is a swear word that goes together. By Hercules. He did it. Et multum repugnante me. Repugnante me is another ablative absolute. And I was like arguing against him from doing this a lot. So he did it with me unwilling, by Hercules, and with me resisting him greatly. Sed tamen fecit, but nevertheless he did it. What did he do? Nomen amici mei de ambitu detulit. Detulit and nomen go together as a legal phrase. Literally, he brought down the name, but you translate it as he indicted the name. Indict means bring a charge against someone in court. He indicted the name of my friend concerning bribery. This friend is Hybrida. Correction, it wasn't Hybrida, it was actually the person that he indicted here, the name that he indicted was Bestia. That was another ex-consul. He indicted the name of my friend concerning bribery. Quem absolutin sequitur revocat. That is, quem is connecting relative, picking up on Hybrida. Him having been absolved in sequitur, he pursued him who was absolved. There's a sense of the timing here. So when he was absolved, when Hybrida was absolved, he, Caelius, continued to pursue him. This is present tense. In sequitur, he pursues him, sues him when he's been absolved. Revocat, he calls him back into court. Nemini nostrum temperat. He tempered himself to no one of us. Est violentior quam vellem. That is, he is more violent than I would want. And this is sort of present tense, but it's describing something that happened in the past. It's a present historic tense. So if you want to understand this as past tenses, that's absolutely fine. He was more violent, more vigorous than I wanted. Said, ego non loquor de sapientia. But I am not talking about wisdom. So he's sort of moving the goalposts a little bit, but is saying, look, youth is not a time of wisdom. Young people are stupid sometimes. Wisdom, quae non cadit in hanc aetatem. Wisdom which does not fall onto this age or this period of youth. De impetanimi loquor, de cupiditate vincendi, de ardore mentis ad gloriam. So this is what does he talk about in youth, about and then there's three things, so tricolon, impetu animi, the impulse of the mind. So that's the kind of the ability of the mind to have attacking force, that kind of the activity of the mind. But I'd say impulse of the mind, about the desire of winning, about the passion of the mind for glory. So that is what I'm talking about. Quae studia in his iam aetatibus nostris contractiores debent. That is, these studia could be pursuits, and here it's used in the good sense because it's talking about what is just said, the impulse of the mind, the desire of winning, the push for glory. These pursuits in these now ages of ours. What does that mean? It means like in these ages, in this age of ours. So he's talking about himself. You could even translate nostris as like the royal we, and it being my age. But you could also say our age if he's addressing a jury who is primarily made up of equestrians who are kind of a bit more like the father age to Caelius. In our age now, of like this age of ours now, ought to be debent esse contractiora, ought to be more restricted. Notice that eor form, that's the comparative, ought to be more restricted. Like these kind of impulses of the mind ought to be more restricted in our age, these ages of ours. In adolescentia vero, tanque in herbis significant, quae virtutis maturitas, et quantae fruges industriae sint futurae. Indeed, so that Wero is strengthening his thought, in adolescence, tamquam, just as in herbis, in green plants. I'll do a little bit of like in sort of green crops. Herbis is sort of describing the stage where they're sprouting. Just as in green crops, they signify. What's they? That's the quae studia. These pursuits signify. Quae virtutis maturitas. Quae agrees with maturitas. What maturity of virtue, and what quantity, how many or how great the fruits of industry will be, sint futurae, are going to be. So he's got now a different metaphor, the idea of what's going to be the fruit, there's the imagery of the herbs and the promise of fruits in maturity, just as a young man promises fruits for his hard work in the future. Et enim semper ingeni adolescentes refrenandi podiusa gloria, quam incitandi fuerunt. And indeed, always, magno ingenio adolescentes, young men, adolescentes, of great talent, and then refrenandi fuerunt, have needed And then referendandi, notice that gerundive form, have needed to be reined in. A gloriam, from glory, potiusquam goes together, more than incitandi, spurred on. This is an image from horse riding. And so you have the reins, which are connected to the bit, and the horse would be given a signal through the reins that he needs to slow down, or she needs to slow down if he gets reined in. And then there'd be a different signal for spurring him on. I think spurring is probably a anachronistic way to say it. I don't think that they had spurs on their feet, but I'm not sure. But the idea incitare is to urge on a horse, to make him be going fast. And in young men, they've always needed, especially the ones of great talent, they've always needed to be reined in from glory more than spurred onto it. And actually, that's kind of true a bit of hot-blooded horses as well. They always need to be reined in, like, by nature a bit more than spurred on, the warm bloods, hot bloods. And then amputanda plura sunt illi aetati. Another image. Amputanda must be. This is another gerundive of obligation. More things need to be pruned in that, or you could say it's a dative reference for that age. More things need to be pruned for that age. And this is going back to another sort of crop, this time green plants kind of imagery, where you prune a plant that's getting really leggy. Especially young plants that grow vigorously need to be pruned. Si quidem efflorescit ingeni laudibus, quam inserenda. If indeed, si quidem, if indeed he flourishes with the praises of ingenium is talent or character. So if he's going to, this is weird because it's present tense. If indeed he flowers with the praise of talent, more things need to be pruned off if that's going to be the case. And the flowering is triggered by the growth in buds. If the plant gets trimmed off here, it spurs the plant on to produce a lot more short nodes of growth, and that gives them more buds and therefore more flowers and therefore more fruit. If indeed he's going to flower with the praise of talent, then need to be grafted in. So more things need to be pruned off than grafted in. And grafting is the process of getting a living, like, rootstock plant, getting a cutting from another plant and literally like Frankensteining it into there, and the tissues connect, and so it's just the opposite of pruning in this imagery, but it's a very natural kind of like farmish kind of farmyard imagery, and it's a massive sequence of quite a few. We had the chariot racing, we had the liquid, fizzy liquid, we have the herbs, then the horse, and then the farming. It's a colourful array of things that kind of they verge on the natural and the energetic is what the imagery kind of has in common. The idea of youthful exuberance is in each of these images.